There's been a pop artist named Chappell Roan who's been taking the charts by storm recently. Chappell actually released an album last year called The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, and it did well, but it wasn't until recently that it really started exploding. Chappell went on tour with Olivia Rodrigo and is playing a bunch of big festivals, and now she has dozens of songs that are in the top 200. So, you know, she's got like her big ones like Good Luck Babe, Hot to Go, My Kink Is Karma, but she just has so many cool records, and we haven't broken her down on the channel yet. So I figured that's what we would do in this video. So I want to show you how to produce and write a song like Chappell Roan in under about 30 minutes. So we're going to dive in and check all of that out. But before we do, my name is Austin. You're watching Make Pop Music. If you like this video, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We do these every single week. And then other than that, if you want to support us, head over to our website, makepopmusic.com after the video and check out all of the sample packs, preset packs, MIDI packs, courses, and all of the free content we have over there as well. So go check that out. There's a link in the description. But let's go ahead and dive in so we can start making this. The first thing that I want to start with is some drums just to kind of give us like a little bit of a rhythmic bass. So I just have like some standard limb drums loaded. So I'm going to go ahead and just lay that down. And typically with this kind of pattern, I'll just do. And then I'll just have kind of an eighth note. So I'm going to lay that in real quick and then we'll see what we get. Here we are. We have hi-hats right here and then we have kick and snare down here. And then we just do a little double clap at the end of the fourth measure. So that should be a nice little basis for us to start with. The next thing that I want to lay down is some kind of like brassy synth that's going to do kind of what you're hearing in like Good Luck Babe or even like the little synth in Hot to Go. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Analog Lab. I've been using that a lot recently by Arturia, especially since I've kind of swapped to this like Keylab MIDI controller. It's just so integrated that it makes it really easy for me to kind of be really precise with sounds and scroll through sounds a little bit faster. This is not sponsored by Arturia, but I am using this a lot, so I just figured I'd let you know why. So for the sounds, I'm going to sort this by style. I'm going to go to 80s, and then let's just show our results. I kind of want to get something like a little brass sound, so maybe we look for brass over here. All right, let's see. Feels a little loose. That's cool. I might come back to that in a second. Actually, let's just see. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and track that up. So here's what we have. I'm actually automating this brightness of this like little Jupiter patch, this royal cheese. You'll see this brightness right here open up. And I just drew that in with this little kind of pan knob right here. Really easy. And then I wanted to layer that up with something a little bit more mono. So I actually found this kind of like short, stabby little, like almost like a string. It's out of the Matrix 12. So it's definitely a little bit more kind of FM synthesis-y. Not a lot of chorus. It's pretty mono. And those together with the drums give me a really nice foundation. Now let's layer up a bass. I want to do a synth bass out of Serum, and I want to do a live bass that I'm actually going to track myself. So for the synth bass, this should be pretty easy. Let's just make a little sine wave down here, and then let's just make this down one octave. Let's make a second oscillator that we can pan out a little bit, and then we're going to have envelope 2 just control this cutoff. Let's go. Yeah, that'll work. Something like that. Pretty simple. Nothing too wild. Let's get this. All right. So I'm going to lay down a bass line with a real bass, and then I'm going to layer that up with this patch that I've just created. So here's the live bass as I tracked it with no effects. I'm EQing this quite a bit, so I want this to really just be kind of the mid and top end. And so I have this going through the Ampeg, and then just being absolutely squashed with a LA2A. And then a bunch of kind of filtering happening. And then I just have that being sidechained to the kick. So that all sounds like this, layered with that synth bass that we ended up with. Not doing anything too major. Those together, though, with that synth, give us a really nice foundation for a verse. To take it one step farther, I'm just going to add a little fill in with some claps and just a little cymbal, just to give us something that feels, you know, a little bit more energetic. I just took a clap and then a different clap for the other side, so left and right clap, and then I have this little tom fill and this little kind of 80s sounding crash to just give me like a... So that'll be kind of our transition into a pre. So what I want to do for the pre, let's actually just keep these drums going. And then I think I just want to change up these key sounds or this actual like chord progression. Yeah, something like that could work. Let's go up an octave. Cool. Let's track that up and then get a bass line under that to just support it a little bit. So here's what we have with the bass and that synth. We're not adding any new layers quite yet. And as you can hear, we're still automating some of that filtering up with that brightness knob in Analog Lab. But now I do want to layer this up. I kind of want like a big analog pad. So I'm going to leave the 80s kind of parameter selected. And let's just go to pads down here. It would be cool if I could find something that is... That's kind of nice. Like a nice little mix of new and old. That's getting closer. That's kind of nice. I'm going to play around for a second and see what I find. Okay, so here's what I ended up with. It is just a pad out of Analog Lab. It's the Compass Says North. It's cool because it's actually blending a Juno patch and a Mellotron patch. And then I'm just letting this play a big sustained chord. And that with the keys and with the bass and the drums. I want to go ahead and layer in some kind of like call and response synth. And to do that, I kind of want to have some strings. Like I hear strings used a lot in the Chappell Roan album and in Good Luck Babe. So I kind of want to get something like that. So I'm going to open up Kontakt and use one of their kind of strings instruments that they have in Complete. So I'm using the strings ensemble, and I actually have a cello section that's panned to the right, and then I have a viola section that is panned all the way to the left. And what I'm doing is I drew in some MIDI that has a modifier. So at first it's a staccato hit and then it'll go to a legato hit. So you're using these down here as little modifiers. So it sounds like this once you swap from that staccato to that legato. And I just want to layer that up with some more kind of synthetic sound. So I'm going to do like a Mellotron string and maybe a couple little like brassy plucks. For layers, I just found this little Mellotron string. There's a lot of Mellotrons used on this album, and really most stuff that Dan Nigro produces. Dan Nigro and Jack Antonoff, like when in doubt, just throw in a Mellotron and it'll kind of sound like their style. It sounds like this. And I'm just layering that up with a little bit of, you know, more intense synth sound. So I just found this little kind of like electric harpsy pluck out of the Jupiter 8. And then the last thing that I have is this little analog lead down here. Sounds like this. This is, I believe this is just a CS80 patch. Just has that nice like poly unison spread, got a big chorus in there. And all of those together give me this really nice call and response in this pre-chorus. And that feels pretty good for the pre-chorus, I think. Now for the chorus, I'm going to keep this same drum pattern happening, but I kind of want to layer up the drums so they feel a little bit bigger. So I'm going to layer in these claps on every snare hit, and then I'm probably going to layer in like some cymbals and maybe tambourines and maybe even like a percussion loop. So here's what we get for the drum section. We have the drums that we had earlier, just that standard Linn drum kick, Linn drum snare, Linn drum hi-hat. Actually, before I go, what I do want to show you is there is something happening on this Linn drum snare. There's this reverb, because dry it sounds like this. I just wanted to have a pretty short, pretty bright room, so I just grabbed Verb Suite for that. The rest is just EQ. I did add the mix wave Hazel rig just to give me a little bit of EQ and just kind of make it sound like it was going through a preamp. just to give me a little bit of that saturation. And the kit kind of has something similar going on. There's like a really, really small room reverb with Eventide, just to give it a little bit more space, kind of make it feel super 80s. But that's all that's happening with those drums. And then I'm just layering up these claps. And I do have them slightly offset so they don't like flam too bad with the snare. And then I have these tambourines for the left and the right. I had this little perk loop that I found that I just demolished with Decapitator. And then I've just got these big crashes that hit. And then the last thing is, it's going to sound really abrasive, but it'll make more sense when synths come in. It's just this kind of electronic crash. So that feels pretty good for our drum arrangement. As for the synths and bass, I'm kind of going to use the same pattern that we had for the verse here, but I want that bass to be a little bit more consistent. I don't really want it to have any extra melodies in it, and I'm going to layer up these little stabby synths with something that feels a little bit bigger. So here's what we landed on for the bass for this chorus. It's just a steady eighth note with that live bass kind of tucked under being filtered. And then I took that live bass and ran it through tape by Baby Audio just to give it a ton of saturation. And then I'm spreading it out with Haas, and it gives me this cool wide grindy sound. Just kind of fills out the mid-range a little bit. And then we have the same analog strings and Jupiter brass from earlier. We have that same analog pad, but now we're actually playing that staccato pattern. That's that same pad that's just the Jupiter and the, I believe, Mellotron mixed, and then, or Juno and Mellotron mixed. And then we have the strings from the pre-chorus, but what I did on these is I actually took them back to staccato, and what I'm doing is I'm having the upstroke be a little bit harder, so it's boom, bum, boom, bum, so it sounds like this. Just adds a little bit of extra rhythm, kind of picks up the pace a little bit, and it's giving Bridgerton, so by the time this comes out, I'm sure the second half of season 3 is out, so I hope you're enjoying that. And then other than that, we just have a little analog brass down here. I wanted one more thing to just be a lot more abrasive, and this one is just a really kind of bright pigments patch. And it's really just adding top end to all of these extra other layers that are happening. And the only real like new things that we have are the lead. I'm just using the analog lead that we had for this over here. Just that CS80 patch. And I'm just playing a little kind of underlick. I'm layering that lead with a little Mellotron just to give me something a little bit vibier and spacier. I think the Mellotron does a good job of like adding some crazy mid-range and adding some just sauce to things. And now all of that together gives me my chorus. Let's go ahead and add in a vocal. In terms of what I want to do for writing this, actually, let's move all this back and give myself a quick little like 2-bar intro of just drums. I think I want to write this about just like going out and kind of having a one-night stand that feels super kind of Chappell Roan content-esque. And then other than that, I kind of want to have like a pretty vibey verse. And then for the chorus is really where I want to open up, do that kind of like falsetto, operatic, layered thing that she's doing a lot. So I'm going to kind of keep this a little bit shorter and slappier. We're going to kind of go crazy with a chorus. So let me track up some vocals and go over what we get. So for the verse, I'm just keeping it real simple. I have one solo vocal, and here's what it sounds like with no vocal chain on it. Just another day, same old shit. Life is feeling heavy, I can barely sleep. But what I want to do is I want to get this to be quite a bit brighter, and I want to take away some of those low mids because I'm going to have a lot of like slapback delay and a lot of slappy reverb, and I don't want it to be a super big kind of muddy full sound. So let's hear what we've got going on. We're really just EQing this and compressing it.
Just another day, same old shit. Life is feeling heavy, I can barely sleep. Late on rent, I'm way too unsteady. I've been lying to my therapist, getting way too good at it. I should have life.
That's feeling okay. So let's do that. Where the real sauce comes in is kind of adding some of these synths and effects, right? So the first one that we have is this slapback delay. Let me open this up down here so you can see what's going on.
Just another day, same old shit. Life is feeling heavy, I can barely sleep. Late on rent, I'm way too unsteady. I've been
kind of giving us a nice big slapback. What I could do is filter this out a little bit more.
Just another day, same old shit. Life is feeling heavy, I can barely sleep. Late.
Cool. Let's just unlink these real quick. I'm gonna have this feedback be a little shorter.
Just another day, same old shit. Life is feeling heavy, I can barely sleep. Late on rent,
That's feeling a little bit better. Let's do that. And then I'm also gonna have a parallel widening in here. This is just my Roland Dimension D send. Not doing anything too wild.
Just another day, same old shit. Life is feeling heavy, I can barely sleep. Late on rent, I'm way too unsteady.
And then we're gonna have our main reverb that we have for the verse, and that's just this Abbey Road plate right here.
Just another day, same old shit. Life is feeling heavy, I can.
Pretty short, pretty dark, and we have a pre-delay in there just so it can give us a little bit of that extra slap. And then other than that, the only other things that we have are just like a pretty standard quarter note and eighth note delay that are real tucked in. So now, hearing that with the effects, if I were to take off the wet effects, it's just kind of a standard bright vocal.
Just another day, same old shit. Life is feeling heavy, I can barely sleep. Late on rent, I'm way too unsteady. I've been lying to my therapist.
So you can see that as you add those wet effects, it adds a lot of that mid-range back in. So that's why sometimes I EQ things a little bit aggressively when I'm gonna have like such a wet effect. And then we go into a slightly different rhythm here and melody here for the pre-chorus.
It's been one hell of a week, I could use a distraction. I thought I'd go for a drink, but never.
And then we're going into our chorus here. So this is where things really open up. So the lead vocal that we have right here, it's kind of doing the same thing mix-wise as the other one. It's just a little bit less wet. So we have less of that slap delay and less of that reverb.
I think I'm drunk and I know you're high, and I told myself about 1,000,000 times that I wasn't looking for love tonight, but your hands moving slowly up my...
And then just to add a little bit of weight back, I have a low vocal that's me just singing that same thing an octave lower.
I think I'm drunk and I know you're high, and I told myself about 1,000,000 times that I...
And then to really get that wide, big Chappell Roan chorus, we have some left and right dubs that were just vocal line to the lead, and then they kind of have some processing like we talked about in our last tutorial where I just EQ them and DS them a little bit differently than the lead. And altogether it sounds like this.
I think I'm drunk and I know you're high, and I told myself about 1,000,000 times that I was.
And in the mix, we get a chorus that sounds like this.
I think I'm drunk and I know you're high, and I told myself about 1,000,000 times that I wasn't looking for love tonight.
And then if we want to do a little second verse, I'm just going to kind of copy paste everything over. Maybe I'll add a couple of these extra little snaps and claps and hits. And then maybe we go for like a more quick kind of staccato-y Chappell Roan-esque melody. So I have my second verse right here. I'm just kind of going back down to a minimal production. And then we're just giving ourselves a kind of quicker, snappier, sassier vocal.
I don't think that we'll sleep too much. Honestly, we won't speak, just fuck. You and me in the sheets, it's rough. You can keep my old t-shirt, but I'll be gone in the morning. You don't want me, I'm sure. If you call out my phone, just know I'm gonna ignore it.
Then we just go into a pre-chorus. It's doing the same melody, just different lyrics.
Trust me, this is for the best.
And then the only other thing that we have is after this chorus, I do a little instrumental section. And I'm just adding this extra little lead. It's just this kind of slidey, glidey little like CZ lead that I have, just to kind of take the place of where a vocal would be. And then the only other thing that I wanted to show you guys that I just kind of did off camera was I gave myself a little bridge where I just changed the chord progression. So we're not really adding any new patches or sounds, but we're taking that vocal that we have for the chorus and we're slapping a slightly different progression under it.
I think I'm drunk and I know you're high, and I told myself about a million times that I wasn't looking for love tonight. But your hands moving slowly up my thigh. Now I've lost control and I'm out my mind.
The only thing that we really add that's new is this tom fill. I added knock so I could get quite a bit of saturation and clipping. And then I wanted that Phil Collins 80s vibe, so I did the Gatey 80s drums out of Verb Suite. It's just like the classic non-linear, crazy gated drum. And then other than that, that's pretty much it. I'll go ahead and play this from start to finish so you can hear what everything sounds like all together.
Just another day, same old shit. Life is feeling heavy. I can barely sleep, late on rent. I'm way too unsteady. I've been lying to my therapist, getting way too good at it. I should have life figured out by now. I just turned 26. It's been one hell of a week. I could use a distraction. I thought I'd go for a drink, but never guess this would happen. Drunk and I know you're high, and I told myself about a million times that I wasn't looking for love tonight. But your hands moving slowly up my thigh. Now I've lost control and I'm out my mind. Your fingers tracing every inch of my spine. They say lust is a sin, but it feels so right. I'm so guilty of wanting you is a crime. I don't think that we'll sleep too much. Honestly, we won't speak, just fuck. You and me in the sheets, it's rough. You can keep my old t-shirt, but I'll be gone in the morning. You don't want me, I'm sure. If you call out my phone, just know I'm gonna ignore it. Trust me, this is for the best. I'm a natural disaster. I'll ruin everything I can. You should run a bit faster. I think I'm drunk and I know you're high, and I told myself about a million times that I wasn't looking for love tonight. But your hands moving slowly up my thigh. Now I've lost control and I'm out my mind. Your fingers tracing every inch of my spine. They say lust is a sin, but it feels so right. I'm so guilty if wanting you is a crime. I think I'm drunk and I know you're high, and I told myself about a million times that I wasn't looking for love tonight. But your hands moving slowly up my thigh. Now I've lost control and I'm out my mind. Your fingers tracing every inch of my spine. They say lust is a sin, but it feels so right. I'm so guilty if wanting you is a crime.
And there you have it. That is how to make a song like Chappell Roan. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. That helps our channel out a ton. And we do videos like this every single Friday, so make sure that you subscribe and come back. Other than that, head over to our website, makepopmusic.com. We have free sample packs. We have free presets. We have a ton of other sample packs, presets, MIDI packs, and courses that you can purchase to support us. And it really means a lot. So go check all of that out. Let us know what videos you want to see in the future down below. Go listen to Chappell Roan if you're not already. She is fantastic. And then other than that, I'll see you next week with much more content. Much love. Peace.